Hello, Jeff. Jeff Ross is in.
Yeah, but I'd put it. I liked it. Maybe it's because I liked it so much more than I thought I would.
It also really suffered from whatever he was going through.
What are you guys doing?
Hi, bud. We're talking about Quentin Tarantino and the fact he's in a little hot water.
Yeah, I don't know a lot about what's going on.
He went on.
Just the defensive. They found an interview in 2003 on Stern where he was defending Polanski.
And he was saying, you can have if you have sex with a 13-year-old that wants to have sex, it's not rape. Which is a little.
Rough.
Yeah, it's a little much. It's a little much, but welcome is what we're trying to say.
Yes, good to see you.
Just wanted
Great to see you guys.
Just wanted to bring you up to speed.
Yeah.
How long? What do you here for? Whenever I see you in town, you have something coming out.
This time I'm at Caroline's.
Oh, he's hanging out.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
212-757-4100. If the tickets are even available, it's on Broadway. It's a great club.
Oh yeah, it's best.
Thanks.
But yeah, I wasn't sure what you were promoting.
Yeah, I haven't been here in a while, and Caroline's was calling, and I was like, that'd be fun. I've been on tour with Rock all year.
Oh, you
all
went
over
out?
Europe and Scandinavia and Tel Aviv. So I was like, I got all these new jokes. Let me do Caroline's.
How was it?
It was really fun. Really, really fun. I'm going to miss those big arena shows.
Oh, right. Yeah,
Bringing
he's doing
it
big
back
rooms.
down to my roots at Caroline's this weekend.
Do you start to get used to the arenas, like feeling really comfortable? Like this is fun. I like this.
That walk down the hall before you go on, it's pretty amazing.
What were you doing?
Yeah.
A half hour?
20 minutes.
Oh, it's great.
But I would bring people on stage and speed roast them. So with the jumbotrons and the cameras
Oh, my
and
God,
the arena,
that's cool.
it was like being on a hockey team.
Was it killing?
You get a laugh at the O2 Arena in front of 20,000 people. It's crazy.
So the thing is, like Chris, I know Chris had Leslie Jones at one point. He likes to have somebody in front of him who fucking murders. He's really that's like Chris is a strong comic because he wants somebody who does really well in front of him when he's trying out when he's touring.
He would literally have me bring the house lights up in these arenas from Oslo to Tel Aviv to London to Brooklyn, L.A., New Orleans. Like, doesn't matter. The shit works everywhere. Bring the lights up. Say, who wants to come up and get roasted? Need some big Chris Rock fans. People would leap out of their seats, come on stage. I'd line them up. It's just mayhem for 10, 15 minutes. The whole place is like screaming like it's at a sporting event. And then I dismiss him, and he comes out. Like, he loves to follow the chaos.
He does, right?
Yeah, I got to give him credit, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's extremely uncommon, right?
I've never seen it, and I still didn't. It took me a long time to even understand why he was doing
Yeah,
it.
Why does
is
he do it?
Yeah.
He likes to make it strong.
What I can understand is he likes it to be a good show, but also he likes to get the interactive part of the show out of the way. The fans screaming, yelling, it all happens
That's
when I'm up
interesting.
there, and then that's kind of over. And his act is really like almost a band. He wants you laughing and grooving with him, but it's about him and what he wants to tell you. He's prepared for a year to tell you this act. And then the audiences, the couples, he gets a lot of couples. It's interesting how you watch the couples while he's performing. He'll do a joke that's 5 minutes long. The first 2 minutes, like the women are laughing and the men's hands are clenched. And then the second 2 minutes, it's the opposite. The men are
Right.
laughing and the women are cracking up. And then for the last minute, they're all both laughing together. He really brings people together in a great way.
Yeah,
Does
he's
that-
a great comic.
Does
He's a
that
great
work?
wingman. Like if you have a date. Yeah.
Why?
Because he talks about sex. A lot of sex.
Oh,
stuff.
at the show, yeah.
Yeah.
Does that work? Getting all that audience interaction done? Like, do people feel like, okay, I got that out of my
I
system?
think
I'm
so,
gonna-
and it hypes them up, and it makes them feel like they were part of the show.
Yeah.
Part of the experience.
and then they're ready to just concentrate on Chris.
It seems like it. And he does an hour and a half. It's
Wow.
like going to see AC/DC. Like he has an act.
Could you imagine an hour and a half of comedy in an arena?
No, man. For me, an hour and
plus
10.
another hour of me, and we had in Europe this past one, Michelle Wolf and Anthony Jeselnik.
Oh, there was 3 of you in front of him. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
we would
that
do
is- that's
a
a
full hour
show.
show before he even comes. Then there's an intermission. Like it's a night
Oh,
out.
he comes out after an intermission.
Yeah.
Okay. How long's the intermission? 15 minutes? That's to sell booze.
Yeah. Sell
rid of
booze
this.
and T-shirts and stuff. It was fun, man. The Wembley Arena, the O2 Arena. I don't know if I'll get that chance again. It's really fun.
Yeah, it sounds like a fun tour.
And he's so nuts and humble. Like, we literally, private jets all over Europe and Scandinavia, and then we get to London. It's like, let's take the underground to the O2.
Did you do it?
Oh, yeah.
How was it?
It was pretty great. I posted a picture on my Instagram of me and him and the other and Michelle and Anthony on the subway going to the O2 Arena.
Do people notice him?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
He can't go anywhere. I mean, he's super famous.
He really is, right?
Yeah.
So you're back. Are you done with that tour, or is it just on hold?
We just finished in London last weekend, Sunday night at the O2, last show.
What's the longest you're in any city?
36 hours in Tel Aviv. That was basically
I've never been to Israel. How is it?
I think you would love it, man.
I got offered a gig there recently before London, but it was just too much, and I would have been in and out too fast, and I didn't want to do that much flying.
Yeah.
I want to spend like 3 or 4 days if I go.
You'd have to go a day in, a couple days in, and absorb it because you'd be wanting to talk about what you're seeing. You know, people, the beaches are beautiful, the food, the people, all the things you can imagine. Plus, on top of that, the crowds laugh and live like it could be their last day on earth. So everything's hilarious, and they're not stuck up at all.
They're good crowds.
You can really rip into subjects deep.
Oh,
and
really?
they're smart. And they're politically aware and socially aware. And
Like if I said Trump, they'd know who he was.
Oh, wow. What a litmus test.
well, that was the other thing. All over Europe right now, and Israel, when we talked about all the comics talk about Trump, and the people really eat it up. They just want to hear all that stuff.
Now, you're Jewish, so had you been there before?
I've been to Israel like 7-8 years ago. I did some benefits there, but nothing on the scale that I went with this time.
Did it mean anything to you when you went? Like, do you feel like, oh, fuck,
It gives you some a good warm feeling. I'm not a religious person. I've always sort of like rolled my eyes at religion and been very skeptical of religion. But then when you get there and it's not religion, it's more cultural. Everyone looks like me. I'm like, oh, this is
no.
strange. You know, everyone from the president to like the guy picking up my bags at the airport kind of looks like me. So I go, well, this is sort of
It's not a selling point for Israel, Jeff.
Yeah. Well, as soon as I left, they started fighting for the land again. Yeah.
But you do feel a connection, I guess. I was in Ireland for a couple of days. I kind of understand, like, wow, this is, I guess, where I am from. It wasn't like a sledgehammer, but you're
How
aware.
Irish are you? Like very Irish?
I think the majority. I have a little Italian, German, maybe, but I think the majority. My grandmother used to tell me a little bit about our heritage. I'm kind of curious for the sake of being curious. I want to learn a little bit.
Yeah, and you know, and the food is so good. In essence, you're learning a whole nother culture.
Do you go to the Wall or anything like that?
I went years ago. We didn't have time this time, but I did manage to drag Chris out for lunch to Jaffa, the old city. And my friend Anna is from, she works for the Knesset in Jerusalem. She's Orthodox Jew, like an old college friend of mine. She's now Orthodox Jew, wears a wig, and she has 5 kids, and she's very religious. And, one of the guys went to shake her hand. I don't remember if it was Anthony or Chris. And she recoiled and said, I'm sorry, I don't touch men. And we all looked at each other because we'd been talking about harassment the whole flight over. And we realized, oh, okay, Israel's now in the future, not the past.
Yeah.
We're going back to that culture of no more touching women.
But she was happy to see you?
Oh, yeah. They came to the show. A lot of Israeli celebrities who we don't know, and the spokesman for Benjamin Netanyahu came. And
wow.
It was pretty fun, actually. It was like, a cultural awakening.
I do want to go. I've heard I got offered that one gig, and I actually do want to go, but I want to go when I can spend 3 or 4 days and actually go around. But the idea is, we watch the news, it's scary to think that you could be in a cafe and someone runs in with a bomb bell. Right. It just frightens me.
It's just not happening. It's just not happening. Not 1 second of scared at all.
Oh, you aren't?
Once you're there, you're not thinking any more
How
than you would.
How about buses, though? I mean, it happens in Tel Aviv all the time.
It happens here. It's no different.
Not suicide bombings. Not suicide. I'm just saying it does happen there, and it's frightening because
there are people plowing into people in Times Square.
I'm not saying we don't have terrorism here. I'm just saying what scares me. For some reason, that doesn't scare me as much, even though you'd be dead. The idea of I guess because my whole life I've always known that there was a threat of a car hitting you.
Yeah.
So this is just, all right, a guy's doing it on purpose as opposed to being drunk. It's scary, but in my crazy mind, I'm like, I can avoid that by running. Maybe you can't.
It's probably also because you live here.
Of course.
Right.
But suicide bombing just scares me.
Most of the contention is out in Jerusalem and the West Bank. In Tel Aviv, you're kind of like, it's like going to Brooklyn 30 years ago, but it's on the beach and everyone's beautiful. And, all
There's
the
hot
women are
girls?
wearing army uniforms and they strip them down with their guns and go to the beach.
Wow.
The food is amazing. And we got in early the night before, early enough for me to hit a comedy club. So I did a set in English for people who speak broken English and got to warm up a little bit.
How was it?
So even if you were there 3-4 days, you could probably like work out and have some fun.
Were the people receptive to you or no?
Oh, yeah.
They were?
Crowd was phenomenal.
No. I mean in the clubs you went.
Yeah. No, they were. They were very happy to see me, and It's weird, the accents all over. This is just happening with American comedy, the globalization of American comedy. I'll go to the Oslo or Stockholm and I'll walk around all day and I barely understand what people are saying to me. And even when I speed roast people, though, like I have trouble with the accents and the references, but they understand everything I say.
Yeah, I guess so. You're right. Globalization of comedy. It's a good way to look at it, or just American movies or whatever it is.
Probably Netflix has done a lot for it too.
For comedy, because the movies have always been shown.
Sure,
So,
yeah.
But I guess you're right. The comedy is helping.
So can Chris Rock not like enjoy any of these cities at all?
I made him go to the old city in Israel. I mean, he tolerates my sightseeing a little bit, but he finally did celebrate for real in London. After the O2 shows, he was like, "All right, I got to go." I mean, I just did the O2 2 nights in a row.
So he's got to go out and enjoy it, but he's probably worried about the next gig, or like, "All right, I got to do this and do that." Yeah,
it was the end of the tour, so he had no excuse to go out and have a little bit of fun.
How long was the tour?
He did 150 shows last year.
Oh my God!
I did I don't know, maybe 30 or 40 of them.
You didn't do the U.S. You just did there.
I did quite a few of the
Oh,
U.S.
you did?
shows
Okay.
too. I did L.A., New York, the Garden, Barclays, the Dolby in L.A. He let me pick the ones I wanted to do, so I picked the juicy ones.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, that's fun. Just take the places you want to go.
Atlanta, New Orleans.
When you're a part of something like that, do you start? And now you're going back on your solo tour. Do you start to restructure in your head, what do I have to do to get there, or are you just okay, back to doing what I do?
It's inspiring and also perspiring. I'm watching him going, this is all about him. He's doing an hour and a half. He's making zillions.
He's got to be making 20, 30 grand a show. You doing arenas like that?
Is that right? Is that how much it is a lot of times? Wow.
I can't even imagine the feeling of making that money and hitting that hard. He calls it his divorce tour because he was making up for his lost time. But you know what? He really is the best. He really is the best comic. His act is fire. It's so good.
He's really, when you watch him and you see his take on it, what's so good about him is you never, the angles are unpredictable. 1 minute, he'll say something that you'd expect him to say, and another minute he says something you totally don't expect him to say. It's like he's a complete person. He's not like some fucking they talk identity politics. I don't feel like there's any of that. You feel like there's just a guy expressing real opinions, some that you'll expect, some you won't. It's very unpredictable.
Yeah, he doesn't always take the popular
No.
Yeah.
Right, I love that. I love that
he loves to build the tension. You'll see tension rising and people's leaning in, going, where's this going? This is making me uncomfortable. He's talking about cheating or divorce, and people start to get, they're on a date. And then suddenly, he finds that pressure valve release, and everybody is kind of in on it and loves it. And
did he shoot any of this tour?
He did. He shot it for a Netflix special.
Awesome.
Yeah.
One show, 2 shows in one place?
He shot in Brooklyn a couple months ago, kind of in a low-key theater.
Oh, okay.
That's cool.
Wasn't the arena.
He didn't publicize it. No, it wasn't the.
And he didn't publicize
We did the
that
Barclays at the end of the year, and it was probably one of the best shows I've ever had. But that's not the one he taped for Netflix. The other one is a small theater in Brooklyn.
And that wasn't hey, come to a taping. It was just
no.
Yeah.
He released tickets for a few hundred people and did a more intimate special.
How many shows?
What do you mean?
1 or 2 shows did he do for the special?
He taped a couple.
Yeah. It's always the way it is. You got to tape a couple.
Well, you got it.
Tape one and you fucking oh,
I don't do that. My last special, I had one shot at it.
That's different. I've talked about you when you weren't even here. That's an odd anomaly, and the fact that you did that, you really are. And I've said this to you and about you. You're like a Renaissance comic. You do things that no one else is doing. I really mean that. You go places that no one else is going. Prisoners, cops. It's none of these are easy gigs. The border,
Yeah.
into Juarez. It's pretty amazing to watch.
Thanks, Jimmy.
I mean that. It's fucking fascinating that you have the balls to do these. I wish I had Jeff's comfort level and balls, because I've seen you in situations where you walk in and you're just comfortable attempting to be funny, meaning you're usually very funny,
Yeah.
but you're not ashamed of being funny or of saying things to be fun. Like I don't know, it's hard to describe.
Yeah. Well,
I'm
do you
so
feel-
wrapped up in my own head, and there's a freedom to you that I just admire.
Thank you.
Do you feel like
Just
you've
swinging? Just take a swing.
That's it, right? Do you feel like after you're in a position where, I mean, you've just put yourself in a position where you're dying, like when you're in that, we talked about it, I think the last time you were in, or a couple times ago, when you're in that room full of cops that are just, they will refuse to give you anything. They're
Yeah.
not going to give you anything, and like you still did it. Do you come out of that feeling like, okay, I'm stronger for that?
Well, you know, in that particular show, you're talking about when I did Jeff Ross roast cops. I roasted the Boston Police Department, thinking they'd be very happy to see me because I'm showing their side of the
Sure.
job, and you know, they were very skeptical. And I thought they were going to love me, and they really didn't like me. They really, you know, you can look this up on iTunes or whatever. But
How long was the show? An hour?
that particular appearance was like 20 minutes and cut down to 6 minutes, and it feels like it's 7 hours.
But I mean, it was an
They're
office.
staring
it
at
wasn't,
me. Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was a 1 hour, 6 minutes. That's still long.
No. I
Yeah.
did a full special of it,
Yeah.
but the particular scene that Sam's talking about is at a roll call.
Yeah.
I went to a morning roll call with a bunch of jokes thinking, oh, I'll lighten up their day, get a few laughs with some, you know, take a few funny shots. And they just stared at me. I was trying to do Tom Brady jokes, and Whitey Bulger is from Boston. I said if his name was Blackie Bulger, you would have found him in 5 minutes. Jokes like that, and they
didn't
just
like
weren't
it.
having it. They were cops like to get the last word. They're not really looking to be the butt of a joke.
Right.
Yeah, especially not from some fucking. And I'm going in there Hollywood fruit.
Yeah.
They don't want to hear that shit.
Plus, they
from-
were skeptical of me because I'd been at a Black Lives Matter rally. Actually, the one where Quentin Tarantino
That's right.
said some very incendiary words about the police.
Yes.
And when they Googled me, the union guys Googled me, and I got up there, they saw that I was at that rally. They thought, well, I'm playing, you know, I'm duping them, that I'm actually with an agenda, when in fact I said I went there to do research, to make this a fair-minded,
Sure.
even-minded piece. Otherwise, it's just fluff, and no one's going to want to watch it. You got to see both sides of this issue. By the way, neither side was ever talking to each other. Like, the whole Black Lives Matter mantra was, which side are you on? And then when I get to the cops, they kind of said, are you with us or against us? So
Right.
no one's actually talking to each other. And that was sort of the mission of the show.
So at the end of this set, did you wind up winning them over? Were you
I did have to go back a month and a half later.
balls?
And I said, it
Right?
was a really tough train ride up there, believe me.
You didn't want to do it?
I was just scared because I'd already bombed a bunch of times. at
Same
these
guys you had to
locals.
do?
Yeah.
Oh no!
Nothing harder. But by now I got to know them a little bit. So I came into it with a little bit of credibility in that I actually researched even harder exactly what they do and
They
what
knew you weren't a piece of shit.
well, I was wondering if they were pieces of shit, and they were wondering if I was a piece of shit.
Okay.
You know, policing right now, and especially a year and a half ago when I was doing this, was a really tough topic to take on because everybody's super sensitive.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of protests. There was a lot of violence. It was right in the heat of the Freddie Gray trials
Right.
and
Oh,
stuff
in
like
Baltimore,
that.
yeah.
And all the cops wanted to talk about that stuff. So I basically set up Laughs Boston as a police precinct, like decked it out, just sort of customized for the cops so they wouldn't feel weird with their uniforms on in the audience. And I had everything from, you know,
You brought them into an audience.
yeah.
Oh, as
no,
opposed
not a general audience. It was just for them.
No. But I mean,
I
a
only
comedy
served
club.
donuts and coffee.
That's hilarious. That's you
And
funny
they sat
bastard.
there in their uniforms.
Well, that's by the way,
Jeff.
that's like the moment where you figure out if you're gonna have this room or not. Like if you come out before you go on and they're like looking at you like a piece of shit because it's coffee and donuts.
Yeah.
Then you're like, oh no.
Yeah, no.
So wait, let me ask you. So
Yeah.
you instead of doing it in the station house, you had them go to a comedy club. How'd you deck it out? What'd you do?
They just put like, you know, blue piping everywhere and you know, I kind of took the lights down a little bit and put some pictures of some classic Boston police
Sure.
imagery, and we set up a little podium. And Commissioner Evans, the police chief, who's a really interesting guy there, smart guy, lifelong Boston cop. He introduced me because he was kind of on board with the message I was trying to offer. You know, because when I was a kid,
Is he
people
a guy
loved
they
cops.
respect?
Yeah. Yeah, but he's always at odds with the unions. So the unions were always like kind of poking at me and messing with me. And he would be like, oh, Jeff's fine. Let him try it. So when I was able to like roast the commissioner a little bit, it kind of disarmed everybody, literally. And they went with me on the hour-long journey.
Oh, when you were on stage.
Yeah.
What? Let me see a picture of this guy, the commissioner. What's his name?
Commissioner Evans. Oh, you should definitely look at this guy.
He probably a lifelong Boston cop. He's probably a guy that doesn't tolerate a lot of shit.
No, I wouldn't imagine.
No, it's worth looking up. By the way, they let me do it because the Boston PD hasn't shot an unarmed person since 1991.
Oh wow, that's him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's almost like
he looks like he looks to me like an Irish cop who does not fuck around.
But the point of
He
the
runs
special,
marathons.
of course he does.
Oh God, does he look like a fuck? Yeah, he's definitely.
He looks like Freddy Krueger with a badge.
That's very funny.
The point of the special though is to get that across, right? That there's not this Boston cop violence thing going on, and
You know, some people in the community would argue that they get profiled and pulled over for no reason, but the truth is, a detective in the, I believe it was in the gang unit, was shot the morning I got there. So that's also why they were stone-faced me. They were not in the mood.
my God.
So a guy was shot the morning I started filming. So they were all like on very tense and high alert, and the cops found the guy that shot the cop, and they didn't kill him. They used restraint, and you got to give them credit. A cop gets shot.
Yeah.
I think the cops would just shoot the guy. They didn't. They
think.
shot him in the, they arrested him alive. So, props to the BPD for letting me come in.
Yeah, that's
Jeff
a rough
Ross
day to
Roast
do it.
Cops.
Oh,
I
yeah.
highly recommend you check that one out
It
if
was.
you care about this kind of issue.
These
a
are,
great
but they're just
special.
the toughest audiences. The cops, prisoners, the border. Like you literally can't pick a harder place. Just do a hospice.
That'd be good. I'm dying up here.
Did you do you have any other do you have another celebrity roast coming up? I feel like it's been a while since
It's been a while. Yeah, we had a couple people like puss out, so we were right about to
Oh,
start.
really?
And then stuff happens in their lives, and they're like, I better not do this.
Who was it?
No comment.
Oh.
But who'd be good?
To do it now, I mean, I guess getting like the Kardashian mom up there would be an easy
That'd
one.
be a fun one.
Steve
that'd be
Wynn?
like Steve
Steve
Wynn.
Wynn. I have roasted Steve Wynn before.
You have
It
where?
was one really great roast. It was in Beverly Hills at the Friars years ago, and I remember he has this degenerative eye disease, and I remember really understanding the power of Don Rickles at that event. Because I went on, I did my thing, all the comics were doing really well, Steve Wynn, beloved casino magnate, and we're all being very reverential.
Sure.
And finally at the end, Rickles goes on, and he just goes for the elephant in the room. He just starts waving his hands in front of Steve Wynn's face and goes, I'm over here, I'm over here, I'm over here.
Did Steve laugh?
Oh my God, he was crying out of those broken eyes. It was a beautiful moment, actually.
Rickles was funny.
Yeah.
Did he
was so
prepare for it or just go up and?
Rickles seemed to like to improvise these things. I don't even think he thought it through very well. And as a matter of fact, the couple of times I did a roast with him where I was prepared, like reading, I remember at John Stamos' 50th birthday, private event. We're all dressed up in tuxedos. It's a fancy hotel, Sunset Tower Hotel. And John calls me a couple of days before. He's like, will you please roast me for my 50th? Please, please, please. And I go, all right. So, of course. I work on it. You know how we do.
Yeah.
So I write a bunch of jokes. I come in with a page and a half, John Stamos is so good looking, his birthday candles blow themselves.
Yeah.
It's just whatever joke about Full House and this and that. And I killed. And then Rickles goes on after me, and his first 2 minutes are making fun of me for preparing. It's like, give me a break.
How did you feel when
But then the ultimate lesson there is when Don finally passed away, I was at his funeral and was very honored to be invited, obviously worshipped Don Rickles. And just at the end of the ceremony, they handed me a microphone and said, say something. And now here I am, unprepared. It's almost like Don got the last laugh
Sure.
on me.
Yeah.
What did you say?
I pulled it out and I told some stories about Don that I had never told before, different times. One time at Milton Berle's funeral, I loved Milton Berle. He was just so funny, and he was
I never met
a
him.
mentor to me, and he was a great guy, and it was a very emotional funeral. And I remember after I had to pee the whole time. I had to pee. It was like a long drive to the thing. Then you get there just in time, and the ceremony's starting, and a million speakers. And I remembered from Buddy Hackett's funeral that right behind the front of the funeral parlor, there's a private little for the family bathroom, like a little powder room. I was like, you know what? As soon as the ceremony is over and everyone leaves, I'm gonna not get online in the men's room. I'm gonna go for that powder room. I know where it is. nobody's going to know where that is. I'm running right for it. So as soon as everybody starts heading towards the cemetery to bury the coffin, I go to this powder room, and I'm in there maybe 60 seconds just to pee, wash my hands, zip up. I open the door, and Don Rickles is standing there with his hands on his hips like he's been waiting for 45 minutes. And he looks at me and he goes, "What, was there a dais in there?" I knew I had a reputation as the roast guy in that moment.
That's funny.
How did you feel? You hosted the Charlie Sheen roast, right?
Oh yeah.
How did you feel about that? Was where Patrice had his set, right? Where it kind of,
yeah.
I mean, that just made me think of it when you said Rickles didn't always have everything planned out. That's where Patrice kind of gave up on his material and just started going and had this like amazing classic thing. Did you realize when it was happening? Like, holy shit, this is.
I knew before it was happening because, I was a producer on that show and really pushed Patrice to do the roast. He'd been turning me down for years.
Yeah.
He'd always say, well, when it's somebody I know or somebody I'm friends with, I'm like, well, that's a cop-out. You know exactly what Charlie Sheen is. And this would be a really good
Do you have any
moment
idea
for
why
you.
he actually didn't want to do him?
No, I think he was being sincere.
He just did what he wanted to do.
Yeah, he wanted to roast a friend, and he didn't care about Flava
Celebrity,
Flav or whoever we did the year before. I don't know. But I remember talking to Patrice before the show, and he was going last. And we needed a real closer. And Patrice wasn't an opening act. He was a guy who could come clean up. And I knew that. And he's like sort of, he looked great on the red carpet, just all leather jacket, leather matching hat. He looked like a fucking rock star. He was just like, but he was like cranky backstage. And he's like, I don't like my material. And why do I got to go last? And none of my friends are here. I go, Patrice, let's make some new friends tonight. What are you looking at all this negative shit for? He's like, well, I got to go last, and I don't like these jokes. I didn't write these jokes. I go, you're last. Fuck the jokes. Roast the roast. Just pay attention. You don't need to hit every line. Who cares? Be funny. You're funny in any situation. I said, just make it yours. Just own the room. Just stay up. He goes, well, they only give me 5 minutes. I said, stay up there till you feel like you're killed. You're last.
Yeah, what are they going to do?
He's like, well, if I get in trouble, I'm going to tell him you did. You go, no, you're not getting in trouble. You only get in trouble if you bomb. No, you go along. I go, just go up there and roast the roast. Just look at everything, and it's exactly what he did. He criticized not everybody's career, but what they did that night,
right,
as a jumping off point. And if he hit a few beats that he had planned, maybe, but for the most part, he created a moment. Like he summed up the show, which I thought was brilliant. He was actually a cleanup hitter.
Yeah, and that's what you want out of those things, right? The whole point is to create moments.
And he was so happy afterwards.
He was.
Yeah. People say he came home and he complained about this and that. Let me tell you something. He came out with us. He was so happy afterwards. It was the happiest I've ever seen him.
That's awesome. Because you didn't see, I mean...
Patrice O'Neill, roast in peace.
Was it when you would see him, like, if he would have a good set, would you see him, like, be outwardly happy about it?
It was always hard to tell.
Yeah.
It was always hard to tell. Outwardly, we didn't work that much together at the end. Like, because, again, he was headlining, I was headlining, so for years we didn't do it. But if he had a good set, yeah, he'd be happy about it. But you could never tell because he would always, if he didn't have a good set, he would behave like he had.
Gotcha.
He would behave like he had a good set and have the same arrogance. So you could never tell when he was just pretending to feel good and when he was genuinely happy that he had a truly good set.
And what his definition of a good set is probably different than most comedians, too. Like, was he killing or did he make his point? Or
yeah, did he do what he wanted to do?
My most memorable and favorite, I loved Patrice. We were good pals, but our best, most memorable conversations were always heated arguments. And it reminds me, I'm going to Caroline's this week, and a lot of them were in that green room at Caroline's.
Oh, really?
I remember, none of this will sound good 15 years later, but it's like, Patrice, do you really need to, when you open for me, do you really need to do that act out of a Down syndrome person for 5 minutes? Like, it's a little much right when the show starts, and he'd get so mad. But I go, well, in 1 minute you're defending that bit, but then in an hour you'll tell me, how come you're not doing television more? And I go, it was a long time ago, before we really had the freedom we have. And he got it, and he would make adjustments. Another time he's like, people don't take me seriously. I'm like, well, you're 38 years old and you're wearing a football jersey and shorts on stage. What happens if you dress like a man tomorrow? Let's just see what happens and how you feel. And then he would come in dressed up and he'd give me the side eye afterwards, like you were right. Like he felt like he was open to adjustments if they came from the right angle and the right person.
Well, yeah, if he respected the individual, if he respected your opinion.
Yeah.
We were just...
and he loved a good chick story. Like if you came in the next day and you were like, he was like, what happened with those chicks last night? I mean, he really got delighted in all that.
Yeah, he was a pig. He was a dirty, dirty man.
Was he?
He was.
Oh.
Yeah, big long fingers.
You remember those fingers?
Watch them work miracles. Yeah, I watched them fucking make girls squirt. He was...
So was he happy after that? Like after he'd had a great session with a woman, was he happy?
He was really good. I remember me and Keith Robinson were fighting in Brazil. We were arguing about something.
I love that trip existed, by the way.
3 of them.
It's amazing.
3 of them. This one was me and Keith were arguing about something. I like some girl, and he's like, stupid, just giving me shit. And we were just arguing, and Patrice was like, look, I see both your points. He was basically saying that when I'm here, that's my fantasy, is to fall in love. He goes, that's his fantasy. Your fantasy is to do... And he made great sense, and we finally stopped arguing. But he was a good arbiter a lot of times,
Right.
or arbitrator.
Right.
In those stupid, pointless arguments you'd have with friends. We were just fighting, I think, because I wanted the love experience. And I met this girl named Fabiana, who I didn't even fuck her. I just loved her. She spoke English.
Uh-huh.
And she'd leave at night and probably fuck 30 people. I really was a dumb American. People don't like your hat.
My hat?
It was being criticized.
I got it in Copenhagen, Denmark. I love it. You don't see a lot of orange hats.
There's a reason.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
It's the color of my first Firebird.
Is it?
I had a burnt orange Firebird when I was a kid.
Do you still take karate?
No,
I was
karate.
just talking about you recently. You're a black belt in karate.
I am. It doesn't fit around my waist anymore. Yeah, I mean, Newark, New Jersey. You had to learn something.
So
Take
you
care
learned
of
karate
myself.
as a kid?
Uh-huh.
Wow. At what point did you get black belt?
I grew up in Newark, and there was no phys ed in my poor town, so my mom dragged me to karate school at 6.5, and by 10.5, 11, I was a black belt.
Really?
Yeah,
Did you ever have to use it?
yeah.
You did. So you got into fights as a kid?
It was more like I would stop fights or stick up for like kids that were getting bullied, but I don't think I got in fights.
Did you continue your training, or are you way out of training?
I'm way out of training.
Yeah.
But I feel like if somebody came at me, I could defend myself.
You'd have
it
some
doesn't
basic.
stay away from me. Yeah, like if I flinch, I don't flinch like I'm going to get hit. I flinch like I'm going to defend myself.
You do.
Oh, that's interesting.
Do you watch MMA or any of that stuff, or any physical combat sports?
No, I've been getting into WWE lately.
Oh, you have?
It's a little different.
Sure.
Yeah, but I was here the other day when there was a bunch of wrestlers here.
Yeah, a couple Fridays ago.
Eric Bischoff was here,
Yeah,
and
JBL.
JBL was here.
Bruce Pritchard. Yeah, Jeff came in to
Oh, okay.
hang out for a little bit. Yeah.
I was away.
You
I
were.
said, JBL, the favorite thing you've ever announced. My favorite thing that you've ever announced was your retirement.
Wrestlers are sometimes because I was reading The Room when you did that, and wrestlers are sometimes like cops in the way that they're not really used to being the butt of the joke either.
Yeah. It was pretty fun, actually.
Did they laugh?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That was a
everybody
good
laughed.
one.
Yeah.
It's the worst when you say fuck it and you go for it and it bombs.
Yeah.
Oh.
Someone at home was laughing, though. I always figure someone at home's cracking
Somebody's
up.
enjoying it.
I thought it was funny.
Yeah,
I was
do too.
enjoying it.
I wasn't here. To Jeff's at Caroline's, by the way, Thursday through Sunday.
Yeah.
212-757-4100. It's on 50th and Broadway. Great club. I'm guessing 1 Thursday, 1 Sunday, 2 Friday, 2 Saturday.
That's correct.
Whoa.
Yamanika Saunders and Namish Patel are
Oh, and
Opening.
is it Namish or Nimish?
Nimesh.
Nimesh, yeah. I know him well. I saw him last night, actually. He wants to come on the show. I like him a lot.
Great guy. He's writing
Couple
for
weeks.
Sound Out Live.
Yeah, he's great.
So we could have a funny show. And I
he's
think
a good
Attell will
comic.
come by and maybe some special guests. It's fun. It's Caroline's. I haven't been there in a while. It'll be fun.
Yeah, it's a fun club.
Yeah, I haven't.
Are you and you're doing stuff with Attell after this, like in March, right?
Yeah,
You're
then,
going on a little tour.
Then I do a gig in Aspen in 2 weeks by myself, and then Attell, Bumping Mike's comedy team of Jeff and Dave. We are hitting Portland, Seattle, Tahoe,
Are you guys on stage at the same time?
Borgata. Yeah, Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Go to roastmastergeneral.com for those dates. Me and Attell go on as a team.
That's
You know,
awesome.
I've done that with him very briefly. We co-headline dates, which meant I tried to just sucker
I
David into
remember
going on
seeing
after
that.
me. And this was just me and him. And he's so much fun to be on the road with. But then at the end, when I would come up like to close out, he would go on after me. I would go on, he would go on, and then I would just come on and say goodnight, and we would talk for like 5 or 10 minutes. And he's a really, really fucking fast, funny dude. But I wouldn't want to do an hour with him.
Yeah, I mean, how do you do? Do you guys figure out a routine together? Or
we just had this discussion. We've never had pre-show meetings, and I said, if we're going to start taking this to the next level, we should talk for 3 minutes before we go on. Normally, he won't even. We did this in Montreal 3 nights in a row at the festival. His flip phone didn't even work up there. I did not even speak to him until we walked on stage. So we had no plan. So now we talk for 2 minutes, and it's basically, ask me where I was last week, and I'll tell you, and after half an hour, maybe I'll leave to smoke a cigarette. Okay.
Did he do that? Go out and smoke?
And then he'll leave me up there by myself or something. Come back with like a box of donuts for the audience. He's really very generous in that way. But he keeps me on my toes. It's like McEnroe and Jimmy Connors just volleying. It's really tough to keep up with him, but I hold my own.
He is pardon me, Jeff. Jorge in Toronto. What's up, buddy?
Hello. Hey. I was wondering if you guys knew that the YouTuber iDubbbz is a huge Opie and Anthony fan. He's one of the biggest YouTubers on the planet.
Is he? I think I saw a picture somebody had of me and him. Yeah, I know who he is. I don't watch many YouTube videos, but I do know who this guy is. Yeah, he is a very popular guy.
Yeah, he's millions of followers. He gets millions of views on all his videos, and he's kind of like the Jocktober of YouTube. He exposes other YouTubers for bad content.
Oh, that's how he makes fun of other guys.
He destroys people's careers.
Where's he from?
I'm not sure. New York.
Oh, is he? Okay. Yeah, I think somebody showed me a picture of me and him from, I'm not sure where it was from, but I did see that, and I do know who he is. I've heard that.
He has a series called Content Cop. Check out Content Cop on Jake Paul.
On Jake Paul? Who's Jake Paul?
Yeah. He's another content creator. So.
Oh, yeah. Okay, Content Cop.
Logan Paul's brother.
What's that? Oh, Logan. That's right. Okay, that's right. Oh, yeah, Logan Paul. Boy, I think Logan Paul got so much shit, and he really shouldn't have.
He's kind of a dude. I think it's when you.
I know, but this is. Nah, you know what, dude? They're trying to wreck the guy's career.
People just took joy in seeing
watching him fail
because he's kind of a douchebag.
Thank you, Jorge. I appreciate it. It's one of those things where he got all that shit for that suicide video.
Yeah.
I thought he handled it very well. It was literally a real moment. And why the fuck shouldn't he be able to show it? Fucking the news does. The fucking news shows nothing but dead bodies, and this guy makes real commentary? Why the fuck then? I had no problem.
It's probably the Minion hat that he was wearing at the time.
That didn't help.
Yeah, and he putting it in the thumbnail, and his YouTube channel is just a place where he brags about how much money he has.
You're right. That thumbnail was a mistake, too.
Yeah.
What was the thumbnail?
It was literally a picture of the corpse was in the thumbnail. So it's it was almost like click here.
It was in poor taste. Yeah, that was in poor taste.
Yeah.
But again, he's all right. So he handled something.
He's a young guy.
Yeah, but then the hat was not good either. But it was still the message I thought was pretty good, and the fact that they wanted to ruin him over it was annoying.
Yeah. I think people just want to ruin him in general. He's just
probably
that's what happens.
That's what we do.
I mean, at that age, aren't you supposed to learn a lesson?
Yeah.
You shouldn't lose everything, right?
No, of course not.
No, you got to make mistakes, and then
first thing you do when you see a dead body, you take your hat off, no matter what your hat is.
I think I say dick out.
Yeah. Even if it's a cartoon alien hat, you have to.
Yeah. Maybe his dick was already out. He had to put it back in.
So are you involved now? Are you single? Oh yeah, I got to do this. Are you single? Are you dating? What are you doing?
Dating, nothing serious right now.
Do you like that or no?
I'd rather be in a relationship. You know me. I like to dig in.
Are you a cheater? You're a pretty honest guy in a relationship, right?
I've gotten all that out of my system.
You have, right?
I've done every bad thing, but I feel like I don't know. I've come through that side of my life.
Did you ever get caught cheating?
Yeah.
How'd you get caught?
The way that all guys get caught, something on social media.
Oh no, I never got, because for me it's been it's been quite a while. I never had a social media thing, but it was my phone or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, I love how you got caught with the texting.
It's totally.
I know you've done it 100 times.
It's humiliating. I was talking dirty with someone, and I fucking hit the wrong button, and I printed out the entire conversation, and my girlfriend found it in the printer, 7-page PDF of me talking dirty to another girl. It was fucking
printed his text by mistake.
Humiliating. She had the whole thing on paper.
I mean, it's the greatest. It's one of my favorite.
Time coded.
It's so awesome. It's one of the great.
So then what happens
stories.
next?
She woke me up I
Did
firmly.
she find it right away?
She found it the next morning. She had to get something in the printer, and she didn't know. And she happened to look through the papers she was going to do something with and saw this. And she almost gave it to somebody else by mistake. And the only thing that saved me was the fact that she could tell by the text conversation that me and the other girl had never met up. She could see that I was intriguing and talking dirty and saying, come on, baby, trying to pay her. But she could tell that the girl and I had never met. And that was the only reason I firmly believe she did. I think she would have stabbed me in my sleep or broke my fucking jaw with something. She was so mad, but that's the only thing that stopped her, I think, from hitting me in the face or literally saying
It was flirting more than actual
dirty.
fucking.
It was hardcore perverted talk, but she knew that we hadn't met.
Right.
It was the only thing I had going for me.
But you were going to meet her.
I don't know if I would have or not. I'm crazy with the phone, intriguing. Like literally, I say things in front I would never do.
Right.
And I'm a time waster.
Right.
So did you get caught DMing or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no! How'd she find it? Did she just see on your phone?
Her computer didn't work, and she's like, "Can I borrow your iPad?" And I hadn't used it in a year. I was like, "Here, I don't use this thing."
Oh boy!
Of course, it opens right up to.
And also, stuff you're sharing from the stupid iCloud.
But I don't even know what happened, man. It was.
What'd she
Well,
say to you?
yeah, your DMs go across all your devices.
Yeah, she called me at work. I was like, "What the fuck? Can you come home?" Yeah, it's tough.
And did you go home?
Oh yeah.
And did you break
drove
up?
to
Or
Florida State.
No, we moved in together.
Best way to handle it.
You think so?
Best way to handle
Sometimes
it.
you just have to double down.
Yeah.
Did you apologize? Like, I'm so sorry.
Of course. And by the way, I look at it now as like one of the great mistakes of my life.
Why?
Because
I blew a good relationship.
I
and
see.
and
Oh, I see what you mean.
I hurt a good woman.
Well, but you stayed with her. So you could
For a
make up for
while,
it.
I could have, but we didn't. I think it was never the same after that.
Yeah, ours wasn't either. After that whole thing. It was just, by then we were already kind of shot. But
yeah, I mean, when you break trust like that,
yeah, but people fuck
do-
up, dude. This again with the phones, it's really hard.
I would never do that again. I learned my lesson, and I was just too cocky and too. You know what it is? Here's the thing, and I've been learning this as I move through life. Like love is so rare. We all know that. Like it's not necessarily going to show up again. So
Right.
if you have it, keep it precious and make sure you don't mess that up or lose it.
yeah, I was talking to somebody about that.
Sex is common, but love
Right.
is rare.
That was talking about like being in a relationship and how hard it is not to cheat when they're used to being promiscuous, you know? And I was like, the thing that'll trick you is that you'll get comfortable in your relationship and you'll forget that actually finding somebody that you get along with is totally uncommon. Like you'll just take that for granted and you'll be like, oh, whatever, I'll fuck one of these other chicks and I'll find somebody else like that. And it's like, oh, wait, I forgot. It took me years to
Yeah.
find this
Yeah, this
one.
is a hard
I
one.
can't just go find another one.
Well, you can bang anyone you want, but
Right.
marrying or a relationship is a whole nother thing, and that is really hard to find. That's the diamond.
It's like I frequently say, love is a rare gem to be cherished and polished.
See, that's what I'm saying.
Weird. I mean, it's wordy.
Say it often.
Yeah. Some say love it is a river.
Do you ever meet listeners in person and go, wow, that's somebody I would date?
Yeah, I have. I've met some really. Normally, I don't attract singles. I attract couples. So they're very. Sure. I've met girls who were fans of the show. Well, sure.
or whatever.
Yeah.
Have you ever had sex with somebody who hates the show? That must be fun.
No, but I'll tell you one thing. I've fucked people who love the show until we fucked, and then they hated it.